there's so much pressure to have a style or to do drawing a certain way or like be unique. I feel like there's obviously influences of artists that I follow and artists that like inspire me. And I think that if you look at other artists' work and find little things that you like about them and try and evolve that and make that your own and think about why you like other people's art and draw that like your own style, I think you're always going to eventually find some sort of style or some sort of way that you draw.
The voice you just heard is Eliza Williams, also known as Doolittle Illustrations. Eliza is a multi-disciplinary creative who, like many of us, struggles to narrow down what she does. But if you make her write it down in a form for your podcast, for example, she will say that she specialises in illustration, animation, and design. Her work takes on many different forms, combining both digital and traditional mediums to create a colourful little world to escape to and explore. With her work, she hopes to bring a little bit of colour into people's lives. In this episode, you are going to learn what it takes to get commercial clients like Spotify and keep them coming back, why artists need to be pursuing more exhibitions, how to get a month-long artist residency in Japan and why you should be applying for that right now, the practical things that are working to grow illustrators' accounts on social media right now, and so much more. So if you are ready, let's start the episode and talk to Eliza. Okay, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited that you are here. The people have just heard a little bit about what you are up to now, but I would love to learn a little bit about how you got here. So I did some research and read some things that you have, interviews and things that you've done in the past, and I learned that you sort of started sharing your work back in 2017 when you did your communications design course, right, at the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, and then started putting your work out a little bit more publicly in 2020. So is that when Doolittle Illustrations became official? Tell me about the origins of Doolittle Illustrations.
Yeah, so when I was in uni, I studied design, which is, I guess, like intertwines with what I do now as well. I still do like a little bit of design on the side. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then while I was in uni, I actually did one of my projects that I did there. We had to design like post stamps, and it had to be from like I don't know. Everyone did like kind of iconic like Australian things, and I did Kath and Kim,
Oh
and
my
yeah,
gosh.
and so that's I think like one of the first times I started intertwining illustration into my design work. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's like the first time that like I think I really showed my style. And actually,
Mm.
the tute that was teaching me at the time, in front of the whole class said it was ugly. So I think I know, but I think that was like an eye opener for university and doing fine arts because I feel like I did like two fine art classes, and both of them were very like, you must do things a certain way. Whereas with my design stuff, it
Mm.
was very experimental, and most of my tutors were very like on board with trying new things and open to everyone else's like perspectives on design, which was, I think, helped me today with my illustration. But then, yeah, so then I started doing illustration on my laptop. I used to draw with my trackpad, which now I think is really crazy that I did that. But I randomly decided to post on Instagram, um, and a version of my earlier stuff is no lines at all. And I actually did like a Snapchat filter for my one of my best friend's sister's birthdays, and I think that was like my first ever illustration commission.
Wow.
But then I started doing these portraits, and a bunch of my uni friends and a bunch of like my circles asked me if I could start doing portraits for them and like their friends for birthday presents. And that's when I started to realize that like, oh, maybe I could make this work.
Yeah.
And then obviously lockdown happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I had just finished my course, so I was like, I don't know what to do anymore because I don't know, I had no direction because I couldn't just go into an office and start working with other people. So that's when I really started to put the time and effort into my online presence. And from there, I started posting on TikTok, and I think that I did some sort of animation thing, and I got a DM from this artist called Matilda Mann, and I did my first ever. Oh gosh, that's not even my first one. I keep on forgetting about things in between. I actually worked for a women's wellness brand called Her Platform, who helps people escape domestic violence and helps people who are experiencing domestic violence. And I did a self care notepad with them. I actually found out about them through someone else that I had been following online. So I think community is very
Yeah.
important. But then, yeah, so then I did the. Sorry, this is such a tangent of a
No, keep
story.
going.
But then I worked with Matilda Mann and her team on some animations for their Spotify canvases, which is just like the animation that you see when you play music.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then through that, I got a DM from someone from Spotify, which I thought was crazy at the time. I actually didn't think it was real. I thought it was like some sort of scam thing because
Yeah,
it came from his personal account, not from like a Spotify account or anything. And it never felt real until I did my first like meeting with them online. But then, yeah, that's
yeah.
how Spotify UK found out about me, and then I started that big Our Generation campaign with them, and then it kind of just grew from there, really.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing how just deciding, like you said, like I'm going to put more time and effort into this online presence and start putting myself out there more is what led to, attracting people to say, well, I want some of that and I want to work with you. And then it snowballed from there. So that's amazing. So what happened when that's all started happening and started rolling? What happened when you decided like, okay, this is maybe a legit business or I'm ready to make this into a brand, Doolittle Illustrations. What did you decide to do to make that a thing? What did like branding that look like, or did it look like anything? Tell me about that.
I think it really started with, I guess I feel like my brand is my illustration, but I think because of the evolution of social media and
Yeah.
putting yourself online and the creative industry, I feel like it's grown very much from just being my illustration and also being me involved as well. And I think that that started
Mm-hmm.
just before I did the Spotify work, I think. I actually, weirdly, I made like a stupid TikTok ages ago when it's like if you scroll down, it's still there. It's like the weirdest TikTok ever. It's just like about me as a child dressing up as Fiona from Shrek and my sister dressing all pretty, and I had like a Shrek mask on. And that went viral. And then I think that was like the first time that I was like, oh, like if that can go viral, that's like nothing. Then maybe I can start putting myself out there with my illustration. And I think that I've always wanted to do something creative since I was little. But yeah, oh my gosh, I'm going on a tangent again. I think that, yeah, it started when I did the Spotify work and I started to think about how I could brand myself and put myself out to other people and other clients. Because I guess originally I'd always thought illustration was kind of just like a small community based thing. And then quite quickly I was introduced into this whole new world of illustration, which was very like I was very out of orders with. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I basically, now it would be okay for me to say this, but I was learning on the job. Like I didn't know what I was doing. When I first got the Spotify work, I didn't even have like an iPad or anything to draw with. Like I was just using my computer and using After Effects, which like I'd only been introduced like a few times to in my university course. So I was just learning from people on YouTube and learning through other people how to do stuff, like researching forums online. And yeah, I like when I did the Spotify stuff, I would be like up till God knows, like 3 a.m. in the morning doing stuff just to make sure that it worked. But yeah, I think that's when I truly decided that I could brand myself and brand my work. And I don't know, I guess like people just follow me for that and my passion, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's amazing. I definitely don't think you're the only, I know you're not the only one who learns on the job, because I remember I interviewed Ruby, who went very quickly viral and sort of had a similar situation. She got work very quickly from a piece of work that went viral, and she said she didn't have a desk, she didn't have similar things, she didn't have a computer, she didn't have anything, she was like illustrating in her bed. And she didn't have like any way to invoice people or like anything like
Yeah,
that. So it happens all the time. People
oh my
just
gosh,
start with like this passion and this idea, and then we have to figure it out along the way, and that's just what happens when you are a creative. So and
definitely.
we figure it out, we make it work. Okay, so yeah, I think you're so right in that, you know, people follow you for your art, obviously, but then there's also the person behind the art, and they want to connect with you as well, and that's the reason why they want to support you, probably, is because they care about you as an individual as well. So I love that so much. So I would love to talk a little bit about like your visuals and your style. You mentioned that obviously your actual illustration style plays such a huge part of your brand, and many artists that's the case for them. So how has your that style, which for you is so unique, it's why what drew me to you, and obviously your tutor didn't like it, but so many people do. So how has that style of yours like developed over time? How have you found that you've discovered that style? Yeah, I'd love to know more about your illustration style.
I think that I've always drawn with line art for like I can't remember like ever since I've been drawing, really, let's be real. But because like even I go back to drawings that I did when I was like in primary school or like even younger, and I see elements of what I do now in that, which I think is crazy because I feel like there is so much pressure to have a style or to do drawing a certain way or like be unique. I feel like there's obviously influences of artists that I follow and artists that like inspire me. And I think that if you look at other artists' work and find like little things that you like about them and try and evolve that and make that your own and think about why you like other people's art and draw that like your own style, I think that's you're always going to eventually find some sort of style or some sort of like way that you draw. But yeah, like I go back to illustrations. There's like one I drew like a pirate with like a peg leg, and I think I made that when I was in like primary school, and there's like lines underneath the eyes, which I think is crazy because now that's become like such an iconic thing that I do with all of my drawings. But then, yeah, there's like it evolved through like university projects where I had certain themes. I did a recipe book where it was meant to be like a drunk recipe book where you make things that like you would eat when you're drunk, and all of the characters in that also have like a bunch of lines, which I think felt like it fitted the theme for that book, but now has become something that I evolved into my work now, which is I don't draw drunk people, but like,
Yeah.
but it's like evolved into something more. Yeah, I think that's probably how my style's evolved. I find that question so hard to explain sometimes because I do get like a lot of people asking, how do I find my style? Like, what do I
Mm,
do? And it's like, I think probably like the best way to start would be like just by looking at your old drawings and things from like when you're a kid and you don't care like what people are
mm.
doing and your influences are your own brain. because I think that's
Yeah.
where my style has evolved from.
Yeah. That's such a good point in that, yeah, when we were children, there's no judgment, there was no self critique, there was no comparing ourselves really to, the kid in the class next door or anything. We were just drawing what inspired us and what we thought was interesting and yeah, what came from our brain. So yeah, you're so right that that's such a great source of inspiration.
It really
And
is.
yeah, you could probably spot parts that you like and be like, oh, how could I draw that now, and learn from that. And I love when people draw, like redraw things that they did as a kid or even like a year ago and see how they've developed or changed or how they would draw it now. So that would be such a cool exercise to do now to see how you could evolve your style or find your style from that. So I love that. That's great advice. That's great. Okay, and so obviously, like, people love your style. You've been able to do some amazing things, like we've mentioned a few times the Spotify commissions, and you seem to have kind of like an ongoing partnership with them, or like, they keep coming back. So what have you found that has made them want to work with you and then make them want to keep coming back? What do you think for people out there who are wanting to work with clients like that might get them to get clients like that and to encourage them to keep coming back? What's been your experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that I guess when I started the Spotify stuff, there was like it was like a contract in place where they had plans for even like 5 years in advance. And because
Wow.
it's like something, I don't know if that's like still a thing. I'm not really sure, to be honest, but I kind of just go
Yeah.
with it and like hope for the best.
Yeah.
But when I started out at Spotify, the person that contacted me, Jamie, he then became, after he left Spotify, he started his own creative agency, and then he became, like, I guess sort of my agent at the time, which now we don't have that relationship anymore, and I work with different agents. But I think it's really good to have people in your corner or just connect with people, because when I first met him, he didn't know that he was going to become a creative agency, or maybe he did, but when we first met, it was solely for the purpose that I was doing that job. And I think it's really important to connect with people from different industries and put yourself out
Yeah.
there, which honestly I feel like I need to take my own advice sometimes. Like, it's very scary to do,
Yeah.
and to like um to reach out after you've done project is like really scary, but it's always worthwhile because that's how you connect with people. And you don't know when a job is going to come up where they go, oh, I remember this person. This person was did this, and I think they'd be really good for this project. And it doesn't work out all the time. And I think a lot of illustrators, when they start, they expect as soon as they get a project, they're like, oh, cool, like they're going to want me more and more and more, or like if people want me as well. And like, I guess you, when I'm contacted for a job, I'm always competing against other illustrators. Whether like
Mhm.
that's just how it is, because they'll pitch this group of illustrators to clients, and it doesn't always work out, and rejection hurts. But
Mm.
I think it's a whole big part of the process, and I think rejection shouldn't like stop you from doing what you want to do, because you're always going to find different jobs eventually, and rejection is redirection. So I think, but I think that's like a really hard point, is because I think a lot of people see my work and the clients that I attract and do work with, but a lot of the time it's like I get emails and then it doesn't lead to anything, because that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think putting yourself out there, and I think for um, commercial work, it's good to have a set style and a set like, so people know exactly what you do. And you'll always have clients that like try and like change that, but like most of the time they'll want what you do.
Mm.
I think that's really important for commercial work, to have that. But don't like always just do like one thing. I think it's also important to expand yourself and work on other things as well, because then you get stuck in the same cycle, and you're I think it's
Yeah.
good for your style to evolve.
Yeah, definitely. Man, there was like so many good nuggets in there. I'm like, okay, with the rejection is redirection. That's amazing.
I have to remind myself all the time. It's like one of those things that I have to like. It's such a like cheesy saying that I always say it to
It's
myself
so
when
good.
jobs don't go through, because it hurts your soul a little bit, because like art is your soul
Yeah.
in some, well,
Yeah.
I feel really connected to my art. So
Yeah.
um if it doesn't go through, or like clients do, like the art isn't exactly how I wanted it to be, but a client wants something different, I find it like really hard to
Hmm.
like let that go. But it's just part of the process if you like want to do commercial work, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think it was also a really good reminder, something that you said about how like people from the outside looking in see all these amazing clients or projects that you do, but that's probably only a small percentage of the emails and stuff that you get sent. And, that's only the wins. They don't see the ones that you don't get, or the ones that, don't work out or whatever. So it's a good reminder for people that, we only see the good things and the highlights and things. So if people are possibly thinking like, oh, what, why am I not getting that one, or why am I not winning all the time, or whatever, it's like, okay, just be a little realistic. It's not all wins all the time. but there are
No, definitely
wins,
not.
definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, amazing. So you've also, this week, you are part of an exhibition, which is so exciting. Congratulations on that. So
Thank you.
exhibitions, I feel like some artists are like doing exhibitions or pursuing exhibitions. Some artists maybe don't consider exhibitions as something they pursue or think they can. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on exhibitions and why you wanted to be a part of an exhibition and how you found the experience. And have you done exhibitions before? I just want to know about the exhibition experience.
Yeah, so honestly, I have only really just started to do
Mm-hmm.
exhibitions. It wasn't really ever something, I mean, one of like my like long-term goals is to have like a solo
Mm.
exhibition. But I think that for a long time, because I was doing like a lot of commercial
Yeah.
work, that's where like my head was at, and that's where I thought that was like my sole path.
Yeah.
But I think that, I don't know, everything changes, and the industry is very different to even like, I didn't even start that long ago. Like I would say like since like 2020, like when I started actually like getting work, it's changed so much, and you have to do so much more
Mm-hmm.
now. And I think that it's important to
Yeah.
diversify like what you do. The exhibition work is more something that I like to do like personally, and it's kind of like my own personal journey of like things that I want to create, which I think is you have to do as well, because you can't just get stuck in your way with only doing commercial work.
Yeah.
I think that that will lead to burnout very fast, which I've experienced.
Mm.
So I think that it's important to have your little things as well. Like for exhibition work, I try to be like as experimental as I can with it all. Like, so for this exhibition, I have made clothes for it, which like
Mm.
I'm not like a designer or anything. Like I just do it for fun. Like it's more like wearable art. Like
Yeah.
it's not perfect,
Mm-hmm.
it's more experimental, but it's something that I really enjoy, and expanding that kind of area. And I really love wearing stuff that I make and like wearing my art.
Yeah.
And that's actually something I did a artist residency in Japan, and I did a jacket for that, which was kind of showing all my memories from Japan, and showing um, that in like a visual way. Like I feel like everyone has their favorite clothes that they wear that have hold memories, and I really like creating that into some sort of art that you can wear. I don't know. I think it's really fun to wear art, and it's not done enough, I don't think. But yeah, for exhibitions and stuff, that's more like for me personally. And if people want to
Mm,
buy that stuff or people want to enjoy that stuff, that's like totally up to them. A lot of my clients are overseas,
yeah.
and I don't interact with them face to face. And I've within like the past few years, I felt like this pull to like want to have a community within like where I am and have artist friends and
Yeah.
be more involved in things in Melbourne. And I think exhibitions are a great way to do that and to meet other artists and meet curators and meet creatives. Like you don't know who's going to be there. And the exhibition that I'm doing is with I Squared Gallery, and I'm pretty sure they're pretty new. Don't quote me on that. I've only found out about them recently through one of my friends. Um, but they're young people trying to do push young art or any art really out there, and I think yeah, community and doing stuff locally as well as like reaching for the stars and trying to do things globally is like really important.
I think it's so cool. And so, is that something you had like reached, you had been looking for, or did it come to you, or yeah, how did you get involved in the exhibition?
I They reached out to me to be part of it, but originally I had followed them. So I think
Right.
a bit of both, probably.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think with exhibitions and stuff, most of the time, well, from what my experience is that you're reaching out to other people,
Yeah.
but it can also come back to you as well. I think it's like, yeah, just connecting and I don't know. I feel like the following thing works a lot for me. Just like
Yeah.
following people and
Little
then like
nudge.
seeing where it goes. Yeah, seeing where it goes with that. But yeah, that's how I
Yeah.
found out about that.
Incredible. Well, if you are around in Melbourne and you want to go check out the gallery, you should go and do that. This episode will be out after the exhibition, but you should go and support the gallery and you should check out Eliza's book anyway. And so you mentioned that you have just done the residency in Japan. And I was like, I need to talk to you about that because, firstly, I am so jealous. I want to go to Japan so bad. And also, I just love the idea of an artist residency. I think that's so cool. And one of my like dreams as a business is to like sponsor or pay for people's artist residencies, because I just think that's just to be able to like allow people to do their art is incredible. So tell me about that. I feel like the people listening will be like, I want to do that. How can I do that? So just give me all the details on how that happened. What is it? What you went for a month, I think, right? So tell me a bit
Yeah.
about what that looked like and how that came along and what it was like.
Um, yeah, honestly, I think firstly, if you people want to do an art residency, I also love that that's like your one of your dreams is to sponsor artists to go because like
Yeah.
it's that's amazing. I think going on art residencies is it's something that I've always wanted to do, but like now that I've done one, I think it's so important for artists to do if
Yeah.
they have the ability to. Like it does take a lot of it depends what artist residency you go on, but some of them are paid for. You can get people from your own country to sponsor your trips.
Hmm.
Some of them you have to yeah, some of them you have to pay for. My artist residency in Japan was in Itoshima, which is near Fukuoka, which is like down the bottom end of Japan. It's on like the bottom island. And I found out about that residency through someone that I worked with on the Spotify event in London.
Wow.
So the prop maker that I worked with there just before that Spotify event last year, which was like in April, I think, she had been on this trip and
Right.
I had been like, oh, how do I do that? That looks amazing.
Yeah.
And then I've been kind of like looking at that residency for a while, which the residency of Studio Cura. I will preach them to like I love telling people about them because it's like it was honestly one of the most amazing experiences, and the people that run it are amazing and kind and wonderful. Um, and they deserve all the artists to go there. But yeah, I found out about it through her, and I'd been looking at it for ages, and then I had mentioned it to one of my other artist friends, Beanie, and she was really keen for it as well, and then that kind of inspired me to actually like do it because I'm very bad at like just thinking things in my head and not doing them and being like, oh, that'd be amazing if I did that one day. But
Yeah.
then weirdly, me and my friend, we both got in on the same month, which is like amazing, and it was
Wow.
so amazing. I know it was very weird coincidence, and that was like it was really fun to do it with her. But also, I think it would be like as equally amazing experience to do it by yourself because
Yeah.
you get to live with artists and do an exhibition with artists at the end of your residency. You get to meet people from all around the world. Like it's the best way to connect with people and have a break from everything and solely focus on your art and what you want to do. And there was such a variety of artists there as well. Like there was oil painters, illustrators like me, there was a designer, there was a girl who did like mixed collage, which was like amazing. And then her like end exhibition was like this whole experience, which was amazing to like witness.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
you get to like be in like a small little country town in Japan and work on your art and be within the community and meet people who you would never meet and connect with. But I found out about it through a friend. But obviously, there's so many like artist residencies all over the world, and I'm always looking at them and thinking about which one
Yeah.
I want to go to next. I think
Yeah.
you do have to be careful about some of them, and obviously do your research before you go because
Hmm.
they're all going to be different. And like my art residency in Japan was in a small rural town, so like
Yeah.
you expect what you're gonna like get into. But yeah, I usually find out about them through Instagram. I don't know, Instagram is very good with like showing me like all of these art residencies to go on. And there's like certain websites that you can become a member. I'm not a part of this, but like you can become a member of certain websites that like show you like all the artist residencies that like are available at that time. I think some are easier to get into than others, and the one in Japan I paid for, but like there's others that like you don't have to. It's an interesting world to get into,
Yeah.
and there's so many different like art residencies, and some of them like specialize in things like so there'll be like ceramic artist
Yeah.
residencies, and then there'll be like printmakers artist residencies. Like you kind of just have to research a bunch, which is what I did, and every application is different, everything is different about them. But I think it's really important for people to do if you're an artist because it's really I felt not to be that person that goes away and goes, oh, I went to Japan and it was life changing, but it really was.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine.
Yeah,
No,
for
I'm not
sure.
surprised. And so you mentioned the application. I assume you just have to pitch why you want to go and what you're gonna do, and
Yeah, so with artist residencies, they usually want you again, depends which one you go to, but usually they want you to explain what you're going to create at the art residency, what your intention is with it.
yeah.
Um, with the one that I went on to, like there was like a variety of people. People were doing very different things.
Hmm.
Some people were doing like a whole series of work, and then other people were just doing one piece. And then there was people who, some of the people that I was on the art residency with were also there the month before, and there
Mm.
was yeah, there's like different time frames as well. So like sometimes you can do a month and sometimes 2 months, sometimes 6 months, really depends. Um,
Mm.
but there was like a writer and she was just there to be there to work on her book. She didn't share anything, she didn't do the exhibition or anything. But I think is you have to share your intention, your artist statement, and like kind of just like introducing yourself
Yeah.
self and like showing your work is like the main part of like the application. But I think there's some that are a bit harder to get into and are more like
Yeah.
probably fine arts based. But I think as long as you're like pitching a good idea, like
Just proving you're not just going for
it's
a
worth doing.
holiday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. Because then there's also residencies that like you have to be at the residency for a certain period of time, and you can't
Mm.
like you can't just go for a holiday. Like you have to be there for most of the time. It's like 20% or like 50%. Like you don't actually have to be working non-stop, but you do have to
Yeah,
be at the residency for like a certain amount of time.
that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing about the residency. I just think it's so fascinating, and there'll be so many people listening who will have either like thought about this but thought, oh, I could never do that, or have never thought about it ever, or just I think it's so interesting to hear from somebody who's done it and has said like definitely do it.
Well, yeah,
um
like if people are thinking about it, just do it. Just do it.
yeah,
Don't think too hard about it. Just do it.
yeah, I think it's so good. And obviously it was like amazing to see and be able to follow it on social media. And I would quickly love to ask you a couple of questions about your
Hmm.
social media. Obviously you have an incredible following on your social media. You have over 50,000 followers on both Instagram and TikTok. So well done on that. I would love to know what you think has worked well for you when it comes to building your audience and engaging your audience on either or both of those platforms, or just on social media in general. Yeah, just what do you think has been working well on social media for you as an artist?
Long answer that it's changed over time of
Yeah.
like what I think worked for me before and what works for me now.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say short answer, but then there's nothing coming to my brain, so I'll just go with the long
Yeah,
answer, I guess.
go. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so when I first started out, it was very different, which is
Mm,
crazy to think that that's not even that long ago and it's changed that much. Um, because TikTok was just starting to be a thing.
yeah.
In my circle, it was starting to like people were only just starting to get on it, and Instagram was still photo based, which is like
Yeah.
insane to think about. And when I started Instagram before I started TikTok, and I think um, the main thing that worked for me, and I still think consistently works for me, regardless of what people say, because everyone has like different tricks and tips, and it's all over the place. But it feels embarrassing to do, but hashtags really do work. Like in my
Mm,
experience, I think that they work. I think
yeah.
there's definitely like a sweet spot of doing them, and there's been times when I've done too many, and there's been times when I've
Mm,
done too little.
yeah.
Sometimes my work will do well without anything at all, and I think it's good to do a mix of both, of doing no hashtags and
Mm-hmm.
hashtags. Now I think reels just do really well, and when I first started off doing reels, I had like a very distinct style of what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to go outside of that. I didn't want to do trends, and that really worked well for me
Mm,
at the start because I started posting reels as soon as
yeah.
Instagram announced it, and which was easy because I already had all like my TikTok videos that I like had on that platform, so I just started posting them on Instagram as well, and that did really well. And my main focus was to use small artist songs and only use small artist songs because I really love music and I find that that intertwines with my work a lot. And I really wanted to push small artists' music out there, and that really helped at the time. But now I think it's more a mix of doing things that are trending
Mm,
and also having your own thing that people come back to. And I think that's really important because a lot of people will only do like the trending sounds and only do the trending things. But I think it's really important to like make it your own and have your own specific thing that you do that people come back to. And supporting creators and other people around you as well is really important because those are the people that will lift you up, and that's the community that you will gain through that. Yeah, and like connecting with your audience. I think there was a big shift from like when I first started gaining followers and like to now. I think my main focus originally was to get a high number and get a high number of uh, followers, which obviously is helpful. But I think now it's more about building a community surrounding you rather than having a high number. When I actually started out doing reels, one of my reels went, I don't know what happened, but it went like insanely viral. I don't know why. It was probably one of my like my worst content that I've ever made. And I think that maybe there was a glitch in the algorithm or something, but it got like 45 mil views or something. It was like insane. If
Wow.
you go scroll back, I don't have any comments on that anymore because it went to the wrong side of
Oh,
Instagram, which like now I is was a good experience to have. I think it humbled me for sure.
yeah, yeah. Mm.
But then from that, my account actually got banned and I got taken off Instagram. And luckily at the time,
Oh,
I had the connections to get it back. I don't know if I would have ever got it back if I didn't, but that
yeah.
really changed my audience and really changed like the people that followed me.
Mm.
And I think that's when I had the switch of I think community is more important
Yeah.
than the number. Because you can have a high amount of followers and them
Yeah.
all be bots and them all be or all people who don't actually care about what your intention is for like your online presence. And I think yeah, I think a lot of times people focus on that number too much and don't think about the real people that are following them, and community is important because those are the people that are going to support you through everything and who are going to like follow you throughout. Like the I still see people that like followed me like when I first started, and we still like comment on each other's stuff, and we're still like connected in some way. So I think that's more to me. I think that's more important than the number in the end of everything. Like it's great to have a big number up there, but I think if you want people to find your work and to connect with people and for people to want to buy your work and be involved with you, that's it's more important to focus on that first, and then the rest will
Yeah.
come.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because, like, at the end of the day, like, we are trying to run a business or, we have to pay our bills and pay rent and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. So whether you are doing services or selling your products and that sort of thing, like having a big amount of followers doesn't necessarily convert to those things. So you want people who are actually going to support you, whether that's they're going to book you as a to do a commission or to partner with you, or they're going to buy your products or send your products to someone else or whatever, or they're going to cheer you on or whatever it is. The follow account doesn't actually mean anything unless they're the people who are actually going to support you. So you're so right. And there were, again, so many good, helpful, practical things in there.
I hope
So
so.
thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. We're swiftly running out of time. So I just want to ask you my one last question that I always ask everybody. What is either the number one lesson that you've learned about branding your passion, or your number one piece of advice that you would give to other people, other creatives who want to brand their passion?
Gosh, that's such a hard question to think of just one.
I
I think my number
know.
one piece of advice for people would be, as cheesy as it sounds, be yourself and uh, put the work out that you want to put out, and then people will come and people connect with that. I think that's like the main thing. As long as you're being yourself and being consistent, that's all. Just be you.
Incredible. It's the perfect piece of advice. I love it. Okay, well, thank you so much. This has been so incredibly insightful, and I have had a great time learning more about you and about your work. And there's so many more things. I feel like I could talk to you for many more hours. So I appreciate you so much. Do you want to tell people what you have going on and where they can find you? I know you have some exciting things coming up.
Yeah, so I am on everything as Doolittle illustrations, basically, except TikTok. I'm Liza Doolittle, it's spelled a bit different, but you should be able to find me if you look up Doolittle illustrations. And yeah, I don't know, that's where you find me. Come see my work if you want to. I do stupid little illustrations that like are fun and hopefully brighten your day. And yeah, I have a few things happening this week, which I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about yet, but that'll be coming out soon. And then hopefully I'll have merchant prints soon. That's something that I always say and never do. So we shall see. But that is my plan for this month. So keep an eye out for that. Oh, and also I'm doing a for all the creatives that want to join it, I'm doing a creative prompts challenge next month that I'm really excited about and excited to connect with other creatives. So that'd be another thing to keep an eye out for because I'll be releasing that soon.
Okay, incredible. Well, we will put all of the links in the show notes and all of the things so you can go and follow Eliza's amazing work and you can join in on the prompt challenge. And then when the merch and prints come out, eventually you can go and support their work. So thank you so much for joining me. I have had a blast and I'm sure everybody listening will have learned so much from you. So thank you very much and we'll say bye to everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, before you scoot off, I just want to remind you about that survey that I'm currently doing to collect your feedback about the podcast. So if you've got a couple of minutes to answer a few questions about the things that you love, don't love, want to hear more of, etc., please do head to bit.ly/passionpodfeedback. That's bit.ly/passionpodfeedback, all one word, to share your thoughts. And remember that I'll send you the entire first module of my signature brand strategy course, Map Your Brand Magic, as a huge thank you. Okay, I appreciate you so much. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Brand Your Passion. If you enjoyed this one, it would mean the world to me if you could share it on social media and make sure to tag me at Maker and Moxie so that I can see and share it too. It really does help to get the show out there, which means that we can all work towards that Maker and Moxie vision of making the world a more creative place, one brand at a time. Thanks so much in advance, and I will talk to you in the next one. Until then, keep creating.